I'm curious, what is your, like, you live in New York, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So New York's really good for meeting women in the day, like Manhattan specifically. I don't know about the
Right.
other boroughs or whatever, but Manhattan, you can go to Soho, Central Park, whatever, infinite women.
Mhm.
So what would your like for you or for a client, what would your general strategy be in terms of like how do you go about it?
You're saying how do you go about just meeting women and
Approaching meeting women, yeah.
oh yeah, well there's a lot of different ways you can do it. So when I teach guys who basically are first going out there and they're afraid of talking to women,
hmm Which is a
what I,
big issue. That's
right.
most of I did ice. Didn't you do a I thought it was very interesting. I saw you do polls, right? And there was a poll, maybe you remember the exact numbers of like how many women have you approached? And everyone who
Oh yeah,
watches
yeah.
this channel, like they probably want to be approaching women, right? I mean, there's some guys who are married and they're just bored and they like
Right.
find us funny or something. That's fine. But most of them, they want to be approaching women. And what were the stats as to like you asked how many women have you approached?
Mm.
It was something crazy. Like most have like done like 60% it was like zero,
Hmm.
which
Right.
is a
Yeah,
big issue,
let me
right?
Yeah,
check. It'll take me
a lot of guys
30
don't approach
seconds.
women. But also too, and for those watching, I have a program on my massive game collection. So again, real quick, shameless plug. I have a product called the Massive Game Collection. 24 of my products for one low price. It is on a discount price until August 31st. So you go to shoplocario.com to get that program. But on that program, I created a program called Approaching Reborn because I see a lot of guys out here talking about women are saying they don't want to be approached, and all these guys are scared to approach women, right? So I just wanted to,
That's gay.
you know what I'm saying? So just put that in there, right? So now what I'll do is for a lot of guys who are sort of beginning, is most guys are afraid of rejection and they don't know what to say, right? So what I usually tell guys is the ones who are just beginning and they're afraid of getting rejected is that I tell them to open the conversation indirectly and then see the vibe of how the girl is responding to them. And then from that point, if she's, kind of friendly or engaging, then you directly let her know what you want. So for example, if a guy is at a coffee shop and he sees a girl sitting next to him and she was wearing a bracelet, I'll say, ask her about the bracelet. Like, hey, where'd you get that
Right.
bracelet from? Right. So it's just like you're just having regular conversation. Now she's like, oh, I got this from Macy's and I really like it, blah, 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 blah. So you're like, okay, cool. She's friendly and we're having sort of this friendly discussion. And then now you introduce yourself. Hey, my name is John. What's your name? Rebecca. Rebecca, nice to meet you. Right. Then you say, hey, listen, I'm about to head out. We should like get together and get a drink sometime. You seem really cool. Y'all exchange information and then you make it happen. Right. So real simple to where a guy can get in a conversation, make that happen. Right now, if a guy gets a little bit more comfortable with the situation, right, I'll basically tell them to go a little bit more direct, right? And it's just real simple where you introduce yourself, flirt with the girl a little bit, build some sexual tension, and then close the deal, right? So, for example, you might see a girl, you say, hey, what's up? My name is Locario. What's your name? Stacy. Stacy, nice to meet you. Listen, I came over here because I thought you was really, really attractive and I seen you checking me out. And obviously you think I'm hot as fuck. So it only makes sense that we get together and get a drink sometime. Take my number down. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, if you actually saw her checking you out, that if she didn't, I mean
right.
that's
Or even
risky. If she did, I would say, yeah, that's
even
fine.
if she didn't check me out,
Uh,
I could just say, hey, it's obvious that you're attracted to me too because I'm a sexy motherfucker. You understand? Whatever. What all I'm saying is like a lot of times guys make approaching more complicated than it needs to be. It's just that you have to really just feel the situation out, but it also comes with practice too. So a lot of times, guys
mhm.
practicing enough to sort of get used
So
to it.
generally, you're right. So I'm
Let's look at the
surprised.
stats. I got it here.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can see the peak, the worst
Oh, you do it every
month
month.
not doing
Okay.
cold approach. Yeah, every single month, and I do this yearly now for the results throughout each year. December 2024 was, yeah, looks like the worst one. 43% were not doing cold approach. And this is defined by the question is specifically along the lines of have you approached at least three women this month? So I set the bar really low on purpose. Some people are like, you should do like 50 or something. But I set the bar really low on purpose so we can find out very clearly like who's literally doing nothing and who's at least doing a few approaches in a single month. So in winter,
I mean,
it
I'm
gets
surprised it's more
worse.
than 50. You have to wonder. how many of the people that are more shy didn't even answer the survey, but
Mm.
I think it's good that it's more than 50.
Yeah, it's always more than 50, but yeah, at worst it's yeah, 57% actually doing a few
Do
approaches
you
and
know
seeing
the
love.
nationwide stat? This came out not that long ago, where in the US, and I think it was 18 to 25, um, only 46% of men have ever approached a girl ever.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
That's
less than half. Like in the general population, it's less than half, and that's sad. As far as we may have disagreements, like we're both ultimately on the same team. Like most people are saying, most people aren't even doing it at all ever,
right.
and they're missing countless opportunities. And so even if you're doing it in not the perfect way, like let's say you're doing some weird, you're wearing a top hat and goggles or whatever. I don't think it's the best way to do it, but I still respect if you're going for it and
Mm,
you're still going to do better than the guys who aren't doing it at all. Now, I would still say, yeah, you should learn from a better coach,
mm,
but at least you're putting yourself out there. And the fact that most guys have no balls whatsoever is actually it's like there's an opportunity because of that,
right.
right? Because there's less competition than there ever has been before, especially post COVID. I think that got a lot of guys. They got used to only using online dating, used to being isolated, antisocial, etc. So the guys that actually do it, like I've had literal model looking women, and this didn't happen nearly as much in the past,
Mm,
complain about not getting approached enough when I approach them. Like
right.
they bring that up, like I don't just randomly. And that never really happened before. So ultimately, the most important thing is that there is opportunity and you have to actually be going for it. And our method is definitely gonna have differences.
Mm,
But even the like what you're saying in terms of if a guy has a lot of anxiety, maybe start indirect. I agree 100%. Like, do what you can,
right.
right? If it's hard, if you can't get yourself to say, hey, I think you're really cute or something more direct,
Mm,
then say whatever you can get yourself to say, even if
mm,
it's asking for directions, commenting on their bracelet, whatever.
right.
That's a stepping stone that kind of builds inertia, momentum towards being able to do the more direct approach later, right? You got to face your fears over time.
Right.
So I agree that is a good way to start. I think that's how most people should start because you see a girl and you can't approach her, then do something,
Right.
or at least like walk towards her and see if like that's the first step is walking towards her and see. Then your mouth might just open and you'll say some shit,
Right.
right?
Mm,
Um, and that's where guys get stuck. They think it has to be perfect.
mm,
And I literally have like most of my interactions, they generally are going to probably be like 5 to 10 minutes,
mm,
but it depends on the situation. And I've been getting uh, infield with the Ray-Ban Metas
mm,
with the camera. And I got 2 dates yesterday. One I already went on, one I have for today later. The interactions were both less than a minute, 30 seconds.
mm,
So if your vibe is on point, you're saying things in the right way, you carry yourself the right way, you is it like, look, can you show her that you're like actually super funny and whatever? Sure. But you can make a good enough impression to have a lot of success from pretty short interactions. And more guys I've noticed with
mm,
clients and like just observing people, they have these long ass interactions that go nowhere where the
mm.
girl's not interested, right? And they just waste their time. That's much more common than having too short of interactions where they're actually like playing to win.
Mm. Well, yeah, I
So,
agree. I think it's, I think a lot of times, and this is the thing, even though I'll be getting on like PUAs a lot, I at least appreciate that pickup artists get dudes off their ass and go out there and approach women. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So that's always good if somebody's doing that, period. Right. But I think also too, what happens is that especially guys who are just learning and trying to get out there, because they haven't ever done it or they they're really scared to do it. It's they think that it has to be this like super magical, I have to say the perfect,
Rom-com,
right, exactly,
right?
I have to say the perfect thing, I have to say it in this sequence in this perfect way. And it's like what people don't understand is that when you actually go out there and talk to women, it's not going to be as perfect in your head like you think it's going to be when you're actually having a conversation, because conversations are unique. So you'll know that a woman might respond a certain way if you go out there and practice, and you might have certain things you say generally. But a lot of it is still unique. So you won't necessarily know how any particular girl will react, specifically. So knowing that is that I feel like a lot of guys have to have more practice so they get comfortable with themselves when they're actually going out there and approaching and talking so that they're able to clearly, do what they need to do instead of running around, wondering what to say, how to say it, and not being able to close the deal. Because I agree with you. There's a lot of times where guys will go out and they'll just like talk very platonically for like a long time and not really, make any moves, not flirt, not say anything, and just have a conversation, but it's very friendly and some platonic stuff. And then they end up in the friend zone in a lot of these situations. And then, they're frustrated with it. You know what I mean?
No, that's what I did when I was new. When I first went out and started approaching, this is my like my biggest issue. I think the mystery method or whatever, it has pros and cons. But the biggest con is when I did that, I was using it as a mask to hide my intentions. Because it's all about being indirect, right? It's all about like, maybe you throw a nag, but there's no like actual showing your intent, no clear leading, no like at least the book, maybe there's other shit, but at least the book, it's not like how do you actually move things forward, lead, escalate. That's not really the focus. It's about how do you hide the fact that you're into her, which I get why you would want to do that, but most guys, they're just too afraid to do that. Right. And if you're afraid to do that, and that's your whole method, that's going to cause problems, right? You're like, I'm trying to hide behind indirectness. And that's why so many guys are in the friend zone all the time, because they've been talking to this girl. They like her. Like if she said, can I suck your dick? He'd be like, yes. But he's not going to tell her, I'd like you to. Because he's so invested and it's a big deal. And he thinks if he's sexual, he's creepy and it's a bad thing. And I'm going to get me too, all this stuff. Right. And so there's all this garbage. And I think the most important thing with game, there's a couple things. One, which I asked AI, like, and AI is often very wrong, obviously. So tell me if it's wrong. But I asked, like, what are your major beliefs, right? And it said you suggested, like, there was an emphasis on, like, just approaching a ton of women. Like it said there was some video where you said approach 25 women a day or something.
Yeah.
And now I would say that's going to be hard for most guys to actually do. Like I could do it. I'd say that's like in terms of time investment, that's hard. But if you did that, if you could do 25 women a day approach, even if your strategy is pretty or your game is pretty or you're like ugly or whatever, you're still going to get pretty good results if you did that. And no one watching this who's complaining, like 99.9% of the guys are like, I'm not getting results. It's because I'm not tall enough. And you approach 4 women in your fucking life.
Right, exactly.
How many women did you actually invite home with you in the last month? 0. So shut the fuck up. Like, I'm using Tinder with my photos in my basement in dark light and I'm not getting matches. Get a photo shoot. And like, what is wrong with you? So people like, they complain way too easily before thinking about, okay, I could be taking more action. And like, oh, a girl rejects me. Look, my fucking great grandpa was in World War II. Now I'm not going to say what side because I'm part German, but he was they were in wars, right? Like they were sacrificed and like, you can't approach a girl like Jesus fucking Christ. Like what was the percent? It was like 64 have approached and 46 or whatever. Like and crazy, bro.
And this is the last thing I'll say because I got to head out in a second. But even with that, because when I tell guys to talk 25 women a day, I'm basically telling them to try to make 25 contacts a day. So that could be like 5 girls out in public or like 10 girls online or whatever. It has to be like at least going for that number so that guys can get more immersed into it. But you're right. What happens is that when guys are putting themselves out there consistently, then they're going to see some sort of results because what happens is that as you go along, you start to learn more about yourself. You start to develop your sort of like style and comfortability when talking to women. And I think the problem is most guys, they sit on the sideline instead of, actually putting themselves out there to see where they're at. Because sometimes I've had situations like this. I had a client once where he was like, oh, I'm scared to talk to women. I don't know this and this and that. And I took him out and this dude was killing it. And I said, bro, like, what's the deal? Like he was like really good at conversation, flirting and all these other different things. It's just that he was never doing it. You see what I'm saying? So he didn't realize the level he was at because he wasn't doing it. And so a lot of guys got to do it just to even see the level where they're at, to see how much work they need with approaching and doing all these things, and then they'll actually make things happen better. But I want to say, man, I appreciate this. This was good. I think this is the best one because we actually talked about things. I feel like more that was like, that was going on. And appreciate you, Ice White, and guys, and appreciate you, Avery, for coming through, man. And guys, make sure you go to shoplacari.com, get the program, the Massive Game Collection. It is there right now, a discount price until August 31st. And last thing I want to say, Avery, has anyone told you look like Joshua Jackson?
I've never heard that one. I'll have to look him up to see how I feel about that.
Look just like Joshua Jackson. I was like, that shit's crazy.
But you know what? All right, I was hearing a lot. I've lost like 40 pounds in the last half a year, largely, by the way, from going out and the steps, right? Like you do 15,000 steps a day. So if you're fat, you're like, I'm too fat to get laid, they're not going to like me. First of all, you can still do it. But second of all, you'll lose weight by going out and approaching because you get a ton of steps. Exactly. But I was getting the fucking vice president a lot. And I didn't like that one. So hopefully I haven't got that in a bit.
Right. JD
what's his name? Yeah, JD. Yeah, JD
fans. Oh, shit. I can see that a little bit.
Yeah, well, you probably would have seen it more 40 pounds heavier. So I'll have to look that guy up. But yeah, this is a good debate. This is my first time doing a debate, but I mean, we could have just yelled at each other, but I thought there would be more to gain from it for the audience. If I don't know, it might be less entertaining, but I thought there'd be more to gain from it if it's respectful,
I agree.
And look, if I was debating wheat waffles, though, I might not be respectful because I fucking hate that guy. But so to be fair, like I think your intentions are way better, and what you do is way better than someone like wheat waffles. To be fair, so it's you're not like one of these weirdo black pill guys saying if you're a 6, just kill yourself. Like that's literally, bro, it's crazy.
That's a fact.